Okay, welcome back, students. In this tutorial, we're going to look at Python operators. Okay, operators perform specific operations on variables and values. So we have different types of operators. We have the assignment operators, we have the arithmetic operators, we have the logical operators, comparison operators, identity operators, membership operators, and bitwise operators. Okay, and many of these operators we have used in the course of this tutorial. Okay, so we are going to look at some of these operators in action. Now let's assume that we have the variable this set to 12 and we have the variable y that is set to 2. Okay, have this. Now we want to start printing these operators. We have x, so we have x. Now the first one we are going to check is the addition operator, this. So if we run this program, we are going to get 14. Now let's look at, we'll have this is subtraction operator, we have multiplication operator, we have the division operator, then we have the modulus. Modulus is actually what remains when you have performed a division operation. Okay, if there is a remainder, it gives you that. Now we have the exponentiation, and when you want to talk about this to power this. Okay, next we have the floor division. Now what is floor division? When you divide and it gives you, okay, we have the floor division. I think we're going to stop it here and let's run the program. When we run the program, what happens when we add 14, right? When we add 2 to 14 to 4, we have 14. When we subtract, we have 2. When we multiply, what are we going to have? We have 24. When we divide, we are going to have 6. And notice that when you perform a division operator, what happens is that you are going to get a float. Okay, the modulus, what remains when 12 is divided by 2. Okay, what happens when 2 divides 12, or when 12 is divided by 2? Is 0. Now if we change this to say 13, we're going to understand what I'm saying. It's going to give us 1 at this point in time now. Okay, now look at it. Now we talk about exponentiation. Let me return it to our 12. Our exponentiation is going to give us 144. And what is it that happens when we perform integer division? Okay, it gives us the remainder, or it gives us the integer. All right, now you don't understand what happens because this thing is there's no remainder when you do that. But let's assume we have 13, and when we divide it, what are we supposed to get? We are supposed to get 6.5. but because this thing is actually, they call it floor division or integer division, what happens is that every other thing that is to the right is removed. You know, every decimal place is removed and it gives you what you have as a whole number. Okay, this is what we have in our arithmetic operators. Now we're going to look at assignment operators. Okay, just like we have this, the first assignment operator that we have is actually this. Okay, this is the assignment operator. Now you can still have several operators Let's perform several assignments here. Number one is that we said 13 is assigned, or let's call this 5 and let's comment this out. Okay, so if we now have plus 3, this is also an assignment operator, but what happens is that it increments what's already in X. For instance, this thing is just the same thing as X equals 5. Okay, now if we now say plus here, if we add a plus here, sorry, we have this already, and then in this particular one we have X. Now if we have this, let me clean up this and we'll say print X. What happens is that it's going to take this value of X, and this thing is the same thing as saying X plus, this is the same thing as saying X equal to X plus 2. Okay, now what it means is that it takes this initial value of X, adds 2 to it, and assign it back to X. Okay, so from this, what we are supposed to get when we run this program is 7. Okay, when we run the program, we have 7 here. Okay, let me quickly, okay, CLS. Okay, when we run the program, we have 7. Then another thing is decrement operator. If we minus this, is going to get X minus 2 from it and print the new value of X. All right, if we run this, we are going to get 3. Okay, then another one is multiplication. When we get X, we multiply it by 2 and assign the value, the same value to X. When we print this, we are going to get 10. All right, and so on and so forth. When we use division, we see what we get, 2.5. When you get X, you divide it by 2, assign it to the value of X. And then we have the modulus. When you get X, you find the modulus of X and assign it to X. So if we run this program now, we're going to get 1. Okay, X is now 1. Then we can perform integer division. When we divide this by 2, we are going to get 2.5. So we get the integer division, which is 2, and we assign it to X. So if we run the program, we're going to get that X is 2. Okay, the same thing with exponentiation operator, and so on and so forth. That is the different assignment operators that we have. Then we come to comparison operator. We have done something in this before. Now let's assume that we set X to be equal to 40 and we set Y, because the moment you talk about comparison, you are comparing at least 2 objects or 2 things. So we have this. Now we can say print X. Now when you are doing comparison operator, if you use one equal sign, it's going to give you, it's going to be an assignment operator. But if you want to check equality, you are going to use 2 equal sign. Okay, now if we print this, what we are asking is this thing equal to this? We are going to get a false answer. All right, it's false. Now another one is not equal. Is this thing not equal to Y? Yes, it's true. 40 is not equal, so we have our answer here, true. And the next thing is X greater than Y. Is X greater than Y? Yes, that is true. But if we say is X less than Y, we check, so no, it's showing us 4. we can as well say, is x greater than or equal y? The answer is true. X is 40, is greater. Now, if you say, is x less than or equal y? No, it's not less than y and it's not equal to y. So these are the different comparison operators that we have in Python. Okay, so next we look at logical operations. Logical operations are used to combine conditional statements. Okay, there are two things we want to check. Okay, now let's look for an example. There are three logical operators that we have. We have the AND, we have the OR, and we have the NOT. Okay, so if we are checking, for instance, our x is 40. Let's use a smaller number now. So we want to check for condition. We can say print, let me see if this works. Print x less than 4, or rather x less than 5, and x greater than 2. Okay, what is it going to give us? Let's run the program. It says true. What is it? Is x less than 5? Yes, x is less than 5, and x is also greater than 2. Okay, now if we say this one can only evaluate to true when this side is true and this side is true. Now, if this side is, if x is less than 5, and this one evaluates to true if either of the condition is true. Okay, we can say or x is greater than 10. And if we run this, what is it going to give us? True, because this part of the stuff is also correct. Now, if we make this one to be equal 5 and we run the program, it's going to show us false because none of the condition is true. Now, if we, instead of using this and say not equal to 5 or this, we are still going to get true because x is not equal to 5. Now, if we say this, if x is less than 5, or rather, if we say, what do we have before? We say x less than 5. And this one, we said x greater than 2. Now, if we put a not operator before them, it will negate the entire thing. All right. Now, remember that this evaluated to true. Now, if we put not operator, it is going to reverse whatever we had before. So if we print, we are going to get false. All right. So, but if we remove the not operator, we are going to get true. Okay. It is going to evaluate to true. Okay, that is Python logical operators. There's also Python membership operator that we can use to check if something is in or not in something. Now, if we have this x to be 2 and we have y to be a list, for instance, and I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 5 6 7. Okay, Now, we want to check, is x in y? We say, is x in y? If x in y is in y, it's going to evaluate to true. Yes, x is 2 and x in y. X is in y. So if we say x not in y, it is going to evaluate to false, right? Because x is in y. That is checking membership. So you can loop through a list to find out whether what we are looking for is in that list using these membership operators. Then next is the bitwise operator. Okay, these are operations that are performed on bits. So we have these operators. We have the and, or, exclusive, or, not, zero, few left, and sign right shift. Okay, that is it. I think we are going to end this. Please use the Python documentation to look at these Python bitwise operators. Okay, thank you very much. We'll see you again in the next lecture. Thank you.